Hey guys, welcome to Roots and Refuge Farm. Hey there darlings, welcome back to Roots and Refuge Farm.
Hi.
Today is actually an anniversary.
Another anniversary.
Yeah, we just shared about our anniversary of being married. The day you were seeing this, which is going to be April the 27th, is the day that 4 years ago we announced our new farm and shared it with you all. Now we actually purchased this property in December of 2020, but we were relocating from Arkansas to South Carolina.
Well, the trip to April is when you first saw the property.
Right. And so Maya brought the whole family out here in April. We saw the property. We actually planted this willow tree. Where is it? Right there. The pond right here by the front gate. And we'll be able to watch this tree grow as we grow here at our new farm. Woo-hoo! Good picking. Good spot picking.
Thanks.
Isra, I hope someday when this tree is huge and you're a grown man, you'll come and sit underneath it and remember that you chose the spot for it. Can you do that?
I'll probably be doing that until I grow until 20.
Until you're 20? Okay.
And then when I'm an old man, I'll do it one last time.
And when you're an old man, you'll do it again? Okay. That's a deal. I can deal with that.
So 20. But I'm going to get the tree out.
Hey, dump that soil in there. Scoop it. No, scoop it with your hands.
Scrape it out of there, Josh.
Okay, come around on the other side. There you go.
There you go.
What?
Tree and help it get its roots out and established.
I know it's squishy because I pat it with my foot. This is supposed to be protecting it, right?
All right, now put your hands on it and pray for it to grow. Bless you, tree.
Bless you. Cute.
We filmed the video to reveal it, and then Maya came back out here about a month after that and kind of started getting the wheels turning to get us moved. So we will have been on the property for 4 years officially in July, but the work really started 4 years ago now-ish.
Yeah.
And we wanted to show you guys what 4 years on this homestead has done. Oh, for just a little bit of a reminder, this is what it looked like when we first came to it. I will put a link to the entire reveal video if you want to watch the whole thing. That was a really fun thing. But we purchased this land, 27 acres, here in the Midlands of South Carolina.
I was drawn to this property largely because of how readily usable it was. It didn't need like land clearing or trees brought down. We needed some open pastures that we could move our farm to. It
has 2 ponds, one of which is about 3 acres and the other one is maybe like less than a half. It was pretty much a cattle pasture.
Yeah.
Some broke down fences, some broke down structures, really nothing substantial.
No, it was a lot of just old stuff, you know, and a lot of it was hiding under years of overgrowth and brush. The get rid of pile that we made just from the cleanup was substantial. So, you know, it didn't look like it was that much stuff, but when you really got to like, because we took down every fence and redid it and, you know, went through every nook and cranny to get stuff that was laying on the ground that could damage a mower or trip over or be a hazard to an animal, things like that. We just cleaned it all up. It just, you know, that was probably the first like 45 days.
And you had to get utilities.
Oh yeah, this had nothing. No water, no power. We have to have a septic system. Yeah. So again, all this stuff is required before they can move the house out. So, you know, as I was working through that paperwork and jumping through all the permitting hoops, that's when we were kind of doing the cleanup at the same time. So, you know, we were cleaning up and prepping for, you know, building fences while also getting utilities and all that squared away.
We made a 5-year plan based on our previous experience homesteading on the 4 acres we had in Arkansas. And I would say that's changed some. I would say our timeline changed a lot.
Yes.
But the plan overall is still more or less the same.
Yeah, so like the scale has changed, I'd say. you know, one of the things, you know, we were doing a lot of the things that we set out to do. We're just not doing them at the scale that we initially jumped into it at.
Right, so we got here, we worked really, really hard. We grew things big, kind of thinking along the lines of providing more along for the community, and kind of pumped the brakes last year because we were really in a place of, honestly, our kids were just growing up. We didn't want to miss anything, and decided...
I was turning 40 and I had my midlife crisis. Why am I milking all these cows? We downsized a lot. And that's brought so much peace, and honestly, we're still growing lots of food. We're growing food for our family, for our extended family that's close by. We're sharing with neighbors. There is still excess, but we're not looking along the lines of trying to make a business out of it or production. It's really just growing for our large family, which is what we did in Arkansas. I mean, it's the same thing that we were doing. We just kind of got away from it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's come down the driveway here. We have spent the last 2 days working on grass and stuff. So when you first came out here, December of 2020, things were quite different here then. Yeah, but it still impressed you.
Yes, well, I think we both really have an ability to see potential. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I got about to where we're standing now. I mean, the grass was, you know, up to my waist. Mm-hmm. I could see that the fences were completely useless, but I saw what it could be. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, I mean, within 5 minutes, I called our agent and said, you know, make the offer, and we had a contract like that afternoon. So,
so right here on the right, this is what we call the little pond. Yeah. It's still a decent sized pond. It does have fish in it.
I'd say this space was probably changed the most.
Multiple times.
Not just what it looks like, but what it's being used for.
So we did keep pigs in here. We
started here with pigs. We kind of like, there's a low spot in the dam that holds it back, and so we use them to kind of help pack that in, which they actually did do a very good job of that. One of the, you know, this being the space that it is, they overused it and kind of like knocked out all the grass. So we ended up, you know, processing a bunch and then moving them to a different location, and, you know, have been scaling that back consistently since then. Then we brought in geese and ducks.
And planted an orchard.
And planted the orchard. So now we've scaled that back some. So we still have the orchard. There's no animals in here currently. We're not really sure yet what we're going to do other than the orchard. We're just going to keep going with that.
Yeah. And as you can see, like some of the trees, like the peaches have done significantly better than some of the others. This space needs some attention, but it's kind of lower on the priority list.
You know, one idea we had about this space was to, you know, plant the orchard, let it grow up, and then kind of make it like a...
Like food forest.
Like a food forest, but like a destination where you would want to go and like take walks and like have paths through it, right? And like, I wouldn't even say like a corn maze, but like it's kind of like an adult whimsical corn maze that you know, you could eat and survive in if you get lost.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm really leaning towards up here in the orchard space, is more food forest, because we do have this whole area fenced in. But, you know, we talked about potentially trying to give access to our cows, but it is true that cows can cause a lot of damage to a pond.
Yeah, they could undo all the work that the pigs did while we were here. So.
Which cows are probably what caused that issue in the first place when the last owner kept cows here.
Yes.
But, so yeah, I'm considering kind of a food forest, but honestly, it's okay as it is. It's okay being a little lower on the priority list. I don't even know that we'll address this a ton this year other than taking care of what's already here. So right past the orchard, we go into what we call a garden belt. And this was our original vision for this farm. You know, when we first came here, we took the Google Maps picture and basically drew where the driveway was going to be. We put our house back in that back corner, and the main pasture where the boundaries of that were going to be. And I knew I wanted this basically strip between the driveway and the pasture, which is about 80 feet, that runs all the way down between these two spaces. I wanted this to all be garden, and it is, and it's lovely. Which we won't go into a super in-depth garden tour here because I do that. And in fact, the first garden tour of the season, oh Jeremiah, look at all the strawberries.
I know. This is rewarding.
Oh, it's very rewarding. This is gloriously rewarding. Look at all these. I mean, I just picked like 2 gallons the other day, and now they're all red again. Fantastic. So much food. We can't get sidetracked by this. And by we, I mean me. I do post garden tours regularly. The goal here in my gardens is really aesthetic function, growing beautiful spaces that feed us. So we have in-ground, we have the 2 tunnels which we rotate out for season extension. Maya is working in this space right now. We moved our asparagus beds over, that's what that is, he's building it up. But we're about to do some perennial beds with berry bushes, muscadines, and different things here. We're going to be putting a chicken coop in this area with some like fancy chickens. And then of course we have the raised bed garden and the cottage garden here. That also, lots of food, lots of beauty.
Cool.
We are finishing some things in the garden this season, so we have just plugged away at this space little by little in the 4 seasons now. This is our 4th season growing here, and the plan is by the end of this year to have all the finishing touches up. So like we built this pavilion, but it still needs to have like the permanent roof on it, fences, arbors, the pathways, there's everything. It should be that by the end of this year everything in this garden will be like finished officially.
That's my goal.
That's the plan.
I think it's possible.
I think so too. Okay, I'm not gonna get distracted showing my beautiful garden.
Okay.
But I really want to show it. That's got to be a separate video. Be like, here's a farm tour in the middle of it. 1 hour of looking at the garden. This pasture, which is right across the driveway from the garden, our original plan was to build our house like back here. We actually started to pursue that last year.
Got pretty close.
And it just became very evident to us throughout the pursuit of that it was just not the right thing to do at this time.
Now, yeah.
That decision really kind of set a lot of wonderful things in motion. I mean, that was really us making the choice to downsize. We have a great house. Let's just treat it like it is our home, because we were really treating it like it was a temporary place.
Which led to the conversation of like, let's finish the garden and let's, you know,
yeah, let's actually optimize everything we have and finish what we started before we start something new. Exactly. And so we've been loving our home that we have. Turns out when you love things and you take care of them and you see them as valuable and you exercise gratitude with them, they're better.
I was like, I'm curious of where you're going with this.
So it's been great, and we've been just steadily working on finishing all the stuff on the farm. Now, interestingly, we've kind of changed the way that we've decided we will do this in the future. If we ever get to the place of building a house, which I know that's...
We probably will, but I mean, at that point, like, it's going to be different because our kids are going to be in different places.
Right, our kids are growing up and stuff, so...
Our big pressure to do it this year was because our kids are growing up and graduating, and we wanted to be able to have this house for them to be in it.
Yeah.
And so...
making that adjustment.
We'll just figure out what it's going to look like exactly once we'll
figure out what we need. Yeah. But we've actually discussed that more likely if we do build a house in the future, it'll probably be much further down that way. And that we would fence this pasture and potentially build a small barn here. Jeremiah's, well, we'll get back here to the shop, but he's going to timber frame his workshop.
Yeah.
And then he's thinking that after that, he would like to timber frame a small barn and just use this pasture here for like goats or something like that in the future. But as of right now, we pasture our laying hens out here. That's what this is. We have a few geese that are running around out here. They hang out on the big pond. They're the ones that we just kept whenever we downsized that. And we were pasturing the sheep out here and moving them regularly. We actually put them out on the big pasture for the time being, just because Maya is like up to his ears in garden projects.
And also those little yellow flowers that grow up, we're getting a lot of them in this part of the season, and they're an irritant to the eyes of cows. Yeah, it's so ranunculus.
Wild ranunculus.
Oh, that's what it's called. I was like, okay, we're just gonna go with that one. What are you talking about?
You just were ready to agree with me.
I'm just not. Yeah, of course, I support you. And even if I think you're saying making stuff up, expecto patronum or whatever. All right, so the yellow flowers, they're an irritant to the eyes of the cows and the horses, and so when they get up tall, it causes them to stop eating the grass, right? Which I want them to be able to graze. The sheep actually love the flowers and will devour them. Yeah. So putting them out there is going to help. They probably won't be able to continue to knock the whole field down, but it will help
a little
keep them down.
Yeah, and it keeps you from having to move the sheep every other day.
Right.
And we will return to pasturing our sheep. Our goals at this point, I don't know when to say this will happen, but our goal is to split our main pasture up into paddocks for rotational grazing where we can move the sheep behind the cows. But we are still pretty regularly moving the chickens. They don't have to be moved every other day. There's not enough of them to cause damage here. So these chickens are just our laying hens, and we get eggs from them. We do raise meat birds, but that's seasonal. We usually do turkeys every year and chickens for meat. Last year for the first time we raised ducks, and we really enjoyed that. Butchering them was very difficult. It was a lot harder than butchering chickens or even turkeys. I mean, we can probably process 100 chickens in the time that it took us to do 25 ducks, but the meat and the fat was really good. So I think we'll probably raise ducks again.
Probably won't do 30.
Yeah, probably do less.
Just
that's what I was saying.
So extensive.
It was really hard.
I'm gonna do 10, and then we'll just savor it and make it super special.
I mean, it would be better to do 10 a couple times a year rather than do them all at once. But we typically raise our meat birds in the fall.
Yeah.
Or early in the spring. We didn't do any this spring because our freezers were full, but we don't do them in the summer because in South Carolina it's very hot, and it's just more stress on them, and then processing them is definitely harder during that time. So right here, kind of at the end of the garden belt, this is something we've changed a bit. So these little areas are kind of grown up and weedy looking, but these are, we call them pit swales or horseshoe swales. I'm not sure what the official term is, but basically we've got these little dips, and then it's built up behind, and we have berry bushes in these right now. These bushes are what we are going to be moving over into the perennial beds, simply because having them spread out like this, it's hard to give them what they need. Our blueberries are really struggling, but they need a different pH level. So we're going to move these and actually turn this into another orchard area. I've got a pomegranate tree and a few figs over here that are going to stay. And I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to focus the food forest attempts down in the main orchard. But we will fill all of these spaces with different fruit trees.
I think definitely adding some more figs. I know we like those.
I love figs. Figs are my favorite. But more peaches.
Yeah, we got
They do peaches really well here, for sure. Just maybe some more stone fruits.
I don't even know what that is. What's a stone fruit?
I mean, a peach is a stone fruit.
It's got a pit in the middle.
Yeah. So right here, this is our well. So this is all going to be fenced in together, the garden. And through here is where we have our barn. We're going to run out of light. We'll have to finish this video in the morning, but we can go out in the pasture.
Well, I mean, that'll give us time to cover the cows and stuff tomorrow, like the milk cows and stuff.
Yeah, we can show all the dairy in the morning. That's a good idea. Hey, Gabriel. I had to use our bush hog because our finish mower is currently out of service. So it only knocked down the tall stuff. I actually went over this whole pasture yesterday. It was all, the wild ranunculus was all really tall. And as Maya said, that can be an irritant for the animals. But out here we have our sheep, as you can see. We have one of our dairy cows that's dry right now. She's out here hanging with the bull. And at this point, we just have a few.
One beef mama, our bull for breeding our dairy, and her. And then we've got the calf from this season. And we also have 2 grass-fed steers that are, on hoof for future processing for ourselves, really.
Yeah. And then we have a few horses.
Yeah.
So this pasture is where all of these things live. And as I said, I just knocked down all of the buttercup flowers, the ranunculus. And we'll probably have to knock those down one more time, and the grass will pick up and start growing. This is all just like a coastal grass out here. Can you explain your plan on what you're planning to do to divide this pasture into essentially movable paddocks?
The first thing I'm going to do is kind of where that corner where the little pond fence is, I'm going to run a fence off of that and basically run it over here to this other property line and just keep everything off the barn, because them coming up and pushing on the doors, rubbing up on the corners, things like that is causing wear and tear. If we come out here to do something, not having to account for making sure the animals don't get out of the gate, or if not good, it could be more dangerous. So I want a pasture or a fence line that kind of keeps them off the barn. That gives us some pastures and paddocks for pregnant animals that might be calving, or we need to keep eyes on, need to be able to get access to them quickly. We can bring them in here, bring them up close to the barn if we need to. Past that, I want to run permanent fencing across, so from this property line where Papa T's at to the street, and then space them out that I can run the temporary electric fence in between them. So essentially moving them would be moving them within two permanent fences and temporary electric fence that just kind of rotate, and then it'll basically just run through like a snake back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, let's say we finish the garden this year like we're talking about, then I would think that the pastures and the shop will kind of go simultaneously, just because there's things I'm going to have to wait on.
Weather permitting.
Yeah, it's just there's always a multiple plethora of jobs kind of going just based off of what can we do, what am I waiting on. So I would say that the fences and the shop will go hand in hand after the garden's done.
That's cool. So this up over here is our property line, that fence. That's our neighbor, Papa T and Mimi, who we love. And then the road over here is our other property line. This pasture is...
It's like 13 acres, I think. It's either 11 or 13. I measured it once. I just can't remember which one it was, because I got the calculation for those timeless T-posts off of the perimeter of it, which told me how many acres.
So it's 11 or 13 acres. This pasture is 11 or 13 acres.
I can't remember which.
I can't either. So yeah, hopefully by next year this is in rotational grazing, and we'll be running our handful of cattle through that. All right, so down here at the end of the driveway, this is the back corner of our property, which goes back to the house where we live. And you'll see this massive sea of concrete. One of the big projects that will begin this year. Well, I guess it already has begun, because we have the foundation.
That's the foundation.
And then we have a lot of the materials. This is our RV, which actually Maya's baby sister, Michaela, who many of you have known,
or interacted with.
Yeah, she's
through our Roots Refuge shop.
She has worked for us and been with us for a very long time, since the beginning, and she's actually moving out here, so it's exciting. Not next week. But right here we have this really big foundation. You want to give kind of a rundown on what we're doing here?
On the shop? It's a 50 by 100 timber frame. I've got all the timbers. The way we're going to kind of divide it up is we've got this section we're kind of sitting on is a little bit higher, but it's about 30 foot wide by 50, and it's going to be what we call the community room. It'll have a kitchen in it, have cold storage, a long table. And it's kind of where we'll do, if we host classes out here, we have a big family get together, it'll be kind of in this one. Then the rest of the shop will be, like I said, a regular shop, tools for building stuff, carpentry. And then I'll have an office that kind of sits above it, over a portion of it.
Yep.
So that's the shop.
You excited to build this?
I am very excited to build it. I'll be honest, it's been a little intimidating. I don't usually get intimidated, but sometimes I think to myself, why don't I just build a regular shop? But I think this is going to be worth it. It'll be a challenge, which does excite me. And I think just the fascination with the whole timber frame style of construction, I think is going to make this just like one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Look at these kitties coming. All right, my camera corrects a lot, so you might not realize this, but we're almost out of light. So we will meet you guys back out in the morning for the rest of the farm tour.
Yep.
Good morning, y'all. It is the next morning. It's windy. So I'm back here in the very back corner of our property. There's our house. You can kind of see everything that we've already showed you from here. One pit stop before we get to the barn. This is a project that's currently underway. Was not in our original plan at all, but kind of developed as a problem-solving thing. So we built this little greenhouse. It's empty right now. This is kind of what we are calling the nursery greenhouse for early in the season, and of course everything's moved up to the big glass greenhouse now. And right now we're getting beds put together, and this is going to be, it's about 20 by 24. So this little garden is going to be herbs and tea right here by the house, and of course where we'll start seeds. This is just very small, and so it's easy to keep it warm, whereas my big greenhouse is, well, big. And maintaining the temperature up there is just a lot more difficult. I'm pretty excited for this. It should be more or less done within the next 2 months. I'm just plugging away at this, waiting on a couple more of my beds to come in that were back ordered, but overall this is going to be a really great little space right outside the house where I can run out while I'm cooking, get a handful of herbs. I had to grab a sweater. It was cold. I knew it was going to be even chillier in here. Welcome to our barn.
You hear that? They hungry.
It's morning, and it's morning chores time, and the goats are reminding us how rude it is for us to be talking about these things instead of making sure that they're eating.
Well, 3 of them view us as their parents, so.
Right.
Just like our regular kids.
Yeah.
Questions.
We built our barn the first year we were here.
Yeah, I actually put the deposit down before we actually moved here.
Yeah, so this was something that Maya found a company that put the like shell of the structure up, and then he came and did the finish work.
The rooms,
throughout
the
it.
Stalls, the doors, things like that, fences.
Right, and this is, first and foremost, this is kind of like the backbone of our dairy operation. And it has made it so much easier to have like a space. It's kind of a dream as far as homesteading goes. So down here we have like our milking stanchion area for the cows. We have Jersey cows. This is Freya. She is the only one we have in milk right now. And pretty much our goal is to keep one in milk. And I currently have 2 dairy goats that are in milk. But this is what we call the milk room. And of course we just keep lots of stuff in here for the cows and the goats. And this is where we process all the milk that comes in, where we keep it. And here we have our feed room, which we have it, you know, sealed off to be as rodent proof as these things can be. It's where we keep all the feed.
As far as being rodent proof, like, I haven't had any rodents get into the feed room.
Right.
But we also have the cats, which do a fantastic job of hunting.
Yeah, but having this much feed in a barn for over 3 years and never once having any signs of rodents in it, I think you did a pretty good job. So this little parlor area is where I milk my goats. We keep our horse tack out here, and then this is a brooder room. Right now we've got some juvenile chickens that will be going outside very soon this week. And then here, these guys will move up to this area. Nothing, just need to refill the water. They'll move up and out here once these guys are no longer in here. These are like little silkies and millefleurs, little bantam chicks. Here are this year's goat kids waiting for their morning bottles or to be reunited with their moms. And then my does waiting to be milked. Hi, girls. And this space is just very much used for lots of different reasons. Of course, we do a lot of our storage out here, hay and straw, and then up on top of the separate rooms, we keep a lot of extra things. Like we have all our things for brooding chicks in here and extra feeders and materials and stuff. So we use the stalls like when we need to bring our horses in. to work with them or anything like that, we've got these available. Of course, we put the goats in stalls whenever they could. And honestly, I can happily say that 3 years in, I wouldn't change anything about this barn. We really like it as it is. And of the things that we invested in on our property, this has been probably the one that has made our life make the most sense. It's really streamlined things. Interestingly, when we were really early in homesteading, we had so many people tell us, you don't need a barn, you don't need a barn. And while it is true that you don't really need a barn, like you can get by with 3-sided structures for your animals, and we could store all of this stuff in other places. We could brood chicks in our house and keep our feed in some other situation. We could take our milk in the house to process. Having this central space to do all of those things, it helps us keep our house cleaner and more organized. It helps us be able to find stuff more easily, and I really love having a barn.
With having one Jersey milk, milking once a day, we get about 3.5 gallons a day.
So between our cow, which technically we have 3 Jerseys, Freya, Helen, and Fraulein. Fraulein is at our friend's farm. She's been over there for a while now, being bred to their Dexter bull. But with just 1 Jersey and milk, we're getting 3+ gallons a day, which is plenty. And that's with her calf on. So when we wean the calf, that will go up significantly because we'll have to milk in the evening also. It's nice to have the calf on because that gives us a little freedom. With my 2 dairy goats in milk, these are Nubian does, I'm getting about a gallon a day from the goats, and that's with them also feeding their kids throughout the day. And having that milk provides obviously milk for drinking, cream, all the things you make out of cream like butter and sour cream and ice cream. And I've made lots and lots of soft cheeses and, like, I guess you could say easy cheeses. I've not yet gotten into aged cheese, but that is on my list of things that I'm hoping to accomplish. So right here outside the barn, we have our 2 barnyards, and it's just 2 large paddocks here that we use in multiple different ways. When we need to separate a calf from the mom, like, right here we have the little steer that his mom is the dairy cow out in the field, so we're keeping him away for him to be weaned. Now, I didn't go out to the other side. So the other side of the pond over there, that is ours, and we mostly just maintain that. We don't have any real intense plans for it. We've talked about multiple things over the years. None of them have worked out. And then out here, this is actually our neighbor's property, but we do use it. They allow us to keep, we have a hog out there, and that's also where we've set up what I call our mushroom woods, which is just a wooded area. Then we have lots of inoculated mushroom logs out there, so we harvest mushrooms. And our neighbor has also allowed us to cut hay from his property, which has been really nice as far as keeping our winter costs down. This last winter we used significantly less hay because we had significantly fewer animals. Being able to cut that right next door and know that it's like purely organic has been really nice. So yeah, that's our farm. That's pretty much it.
2025 edition.
The 2025 edition, yeah, that's right. So as of right now, what we're producing here on what you just saw. We're growing a lot of meat.
Yep, we got beef, pork. We're going to do seasonal ducks, turkeys, and chickens for meat. And then we're going to be butchering our first sheep.
Yes, we'll have lamb for the first time this year from our farm.
Yep.
And then of course we have eggs from our chickens.
That covers pretty much all the protein sources. I guess maybe dairy is considered a protein source.
Well, we have the dairy.
Yeah, 2 different kinds.
With having goat's milk and cow's milk, that provides lots of options
and
for
all the stuff that it makes.
Anything that we would want to make out of that. And then, of course, fruits and vegetables. At this point, we're growing pretty much all the vegetables we need seasonally. We're able to grow year-round, and we really don't have to buy that kind of thing. No. Fruit, we're really just coming into production on that.
Lots of strawberries. We've got lots of peaches coming Not where there be potential-wise, like there's obviously still potential for growth, but we're getting
Right, last year we harvested a couple bushels of peaches. That was a pretty big deal. That was a first. And then this year we've been just bringing in gallons of strawberries, which has been really nice.
So, I mean, the other stuff, blackberries, blueberries, and other trees will catch up.
Yeah, in the future we'll have a lot of that stuff. I would say, to kind of conclude where our property is, and we'll show you guys kind of what it looks like as a whole now. The plan we made from the beginning in a lot of ways has really served us. We have had to hold that somewhat loosely when changes need to be made, but overall I'm very, very happy with our property. This is, not only is it an incredible feat of the work that it took to develop this, and it's just so cool when you have a vision for something, seeing it fulfilled, but it also is just home.
Yeah, it's my favorite place I've ever lived.
For sure. I definitely feel that. So we wanted to finish our 2025 farm tour with a little bit of a progress report. Quite a few things have grown a lot since that last video, I would say. Ben and Ezra and Toby, I think y'all grew quite a lot. And then also our willow tree has grown a whole lot. Y'all go stand next to that tree and display how much growth can happen in 4 years.
Oh Lord. Can't put my hand around it anymore.
What do y'all think?
Good. Now you can sit in the shade under it. Now is a good place to have a picnic. It's like when it's like super big and it's like you can't see through it and you can just sit under it with a picnic.
You think we should put a picnic table under here when it gets bigger? I think that's a great idea. All right, y'all. Well, I wonder what will happen in the next 4 years.
That'd be crazy. Are we gonna make another video?
Oh, I'm sure.
Every
and we'll
4
make
years.
probably, I don't know,
Feature
a few hundred between now and then at least. Y'all will be very different in 4 years. In 4 years, all of you will probably be taller than me.
Like this.
Yep. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today and for the last 4 years and all the time you have and all the time you will. We bless you.
Till next time.
Until next time.